more gin and tonic. In the very early days of ELP, we were playing in San Francisco, I remember, and we were there for 3 days, and we actually had a day off. And my manager said to me, you know, Greg, rather than just sit around the hotel for a day, would you like to go and see Elvis perform? And in Europe, we'd obviously never seen him live. He never came to Europe at all. And so, you know, I was very excited. And I said, yeah, and I'd love to see him. You know, the King, he defined rock and roll for us, you know, in those days. And so, fair enough, he said, we can get on a plane and hop across to Lake Tahoe. He's appearing in a casino there. So that's what we did. And we got to the casino, and we walked in. And it was like one of those sort of cabaret dining rooms with red leather seats. They're like, I think they call them banquette seats. Strange name, but there it is. And, you know, they have 2 lamps on the table. And people sit round in a semicircle. And I remember being quite shocked because at that time, ELP were playing bigger places than that. And I suppose I was afraid that it was going to be a sort of fake Elvis. You know, those times they used to have bands like the Drifters, and there wasn't anybody original in the band. They were all sort of just stand-ins, but they would tour the name. But my manager said, no, he said, you know, Greg, just sit down, you're about to learn something. And so we did, we sat down and dinner finished, and the house lights went down. And all of a sudden, over the PA, there came the sound of this classical music. It's called Thus Spake Zarathustra. It's very complicated to say, but I'm sure you know it. It's the theme from 2001. And it goes, bum, 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 bum. It's very dramatic music. And from behind the curtains, all of a sudden I hear an electric guitar. Bam, 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 bam. And the curtains go back, and there he is, Elvis. He's got his back to the audience, and they're projecting a spotlight up at him. And his shadow is projected on the back wall, must have been 40 feet high. It was a very impressive sight. And all of a sudden, Elvis spins round, going to a party in the county jail. And 3 women in the front just fainted. And he only did about 30 seconds of jailhouse rock, and he went into, since my baby left me, I found a new place to dwell. And another woman fainted. And he did 30 seconds of that, and then he went into, you ain't nothing but a hound dog. So he'd only been on for, I suppose, 2 minutes. And the place looked like a bomb had hit it. You know, there was ladies with makeup running down their face, husbands arguing with their wives because they were jealous of, you know, and I'll never forget, Elvis walked up to the microphone. Of course, there was this amazing explosion of applause when he finished. And he walked up to the microphone and he said, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. I'm really not worth it. And I thought then, what have you got to do to be worth it? You know, that's not good enough, my goodness. Anyway, the show went by very quickly, as you can imagine. And came to the end, and I think he did one of these very up-tempo songs, like perhaps it was Poke Salad Annie, one of those very fast things. And eventually he ran off the stage. And the band kept playing for a while, and then they sort of disintegrated. It wasn't like an organized ending, they just sort of collapsed. And the house lights were switched on, and a voice came over the PA. Ladies and gentlemen, Elvis has left the building. And you felt horrible. You just felt totally, totally gutted. I mean, 30 seconds before you were looking at the most handsome man in the world, with a voice from the heavens, singing hit after hit after hit. And all of a sudden, you were looking at a refugee camp. People sobbing, crying, falling apart, tripping over, coffee cups everywhere. And so we all filed out, you know, shaken, literally shaken by the Elvis experience. And I got outside with my manager and he said, well, there you are, Greg. Now you understand. You've just seen the King, you know. And I have to say that for a while I felt very depressed because I knew I'd never be that good. And you're very kind. A liar, but very kind. But you know, I just knew that he had something God-given that was just remarkable. And but you know, in the end, of course, you can only be who you are, and I had to accept that, and it didn't turn out too bad in the end, but it was one of those things. But it was, thank you. It was a very big lesson. Well, look, you've either got to be very brave or very stupid to do an Elvis song, because you're going to look bad by comparison. But I'm certainly not brave. Where I come from in Dorset, on the south coast of England, they have a saying, it goes like this, it says, Dorset born, Dorset bred, strong in the arm, weak in the head. So bearing that in mind, and as a tribute to the King, I'd like to do what I think is probably the greatest rock song ever written. It's called Heartbreak Hotel. Well, since my baby left me, I found a new place to dwell. Well, it's down at the end of Lonely Street, that heartbreak hotel. You make me so lonely. You make me so lonely. You make me so lonely. Well, though it's always crowded, you still can find some room for broken-hearted lovers to cry there in the gloom. So lonely, you make me so lonely. Well, the bellhop tears keep falling, the desk clock's dressed in black. Well, they've been so long down Lonely Street, they never you make me so lonely. You make me so lonely. You make me so lonely. Just take a walk down Lonely Street to Heartbreak Hotel. You make me so lonely. You make me so lonely. You make me so lonely. You still can find some room for broken-hearted lovers to cry there in the gloom. You make me so lonely. You make me so lonely. You make me so lonely.